In this video, we are setting up an Obsidian base for project management. This is the third video in the base series. In the first video, we covered the fundamentals of bases, and we built a system base, which acts as a control panel for keeping your Obsidian Vault clean and structured. In a second video, we focused on the journal base, using bases to support daily through yearly journaling. And now, in this video, we move to the project base. I'll show you how to use an Obsidian base to structure projects, meetings or work sessions, child notes and related notes, so project management stays simple and visible. A quick side note, if you like the setup and you like what bases can do, I have the full setups available for projects, for journaling and for studying, so you don't have to build everything out yourself. I also offer one-on-one consulting sessions so you can speed up your knowledge management journey. So professionals, students and PKM enthusiasts all use these systems, and many get them covered through training budgets. So it's worth checking. No cost to you, a lifetime of benefits. At the end of this video, there's a free Project.base file that you can download. And if you're finding this video helpful at all, please leave a like. And if you're really feeling generous today, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. So today we're talking about bases, and specifically bases for project management. So this is the Evergreen Vault. It's the vault that's available on my website, which is specifically designed for journaling and project management, or personal project management, specifically for career and hobbies. And every project basically follows the same structure. So if we go to the project template, you can see that we have the properties that we're filling in. We have logs, just individual lines of information that you're pulling through from your daily note. So we're not interested in that today. We're interested in the notes that we retrieve, the sub-projects, work sessions or meetings, child notes, or related notes. Tasks and questions are similar to logs, individual lines of information that we want to send through to a project. So what does this look like? So if we go to Theo, we see that he works in finance, and a project that he's currently working on is the Q4 budget report. Here we can see we have sub-projects, we have work sessions, we have child notes, and we have related notes. So this is let's say the backbone of a good project management system. You need to have any sub-projects. So if there's Q4 budget reports, risk and finance is a sub-report, and then commercial is another sub-report. That is where the sub-projects will pop in. When we have work sessions or meetings with specific people or yourself, you want it to be populated here. For child notes, any notes related to this project. And then related notes, any notes that helps or aids, but is not directly a child note of this project, will pop up here. So these are basically 4 tables, which in the past we had to write data queries. You need to understand coding a little bit. But now we have Obsidian Base. And Obsidian Base makes these type of tables very fun to work with. It's easy to understand because it's drag and drop. You can easily see the filters that you are applying in order to get these notes being returned on this table. And you can edit the notes on this table, which is pretty cool. So we have sub-projects, work sessions, child notes, and related notes. So if we go to the project template, what does it look like? Well, it's just referencing the project base. So let's open up the project base. So this is our project base, and we can see sub-projects, work sessions, child notes, related notes. So in the template, when we reference the project base and we have a hashtag and we say sub-projects, what it's basically doing is it's going to the project base and it's opening up that specific view. Sub-projects, sub-projects, work sessions, child notes, and so on and so forth. And the cool thing about this is you can see that when we click on a specific project, it fills in according to that project that we have clicked on. So if we go to Q4 budget report and we click on it, you can see that there's no sub-projects because there's no sub-projects. But if we go to, let's say, work sessions and we click here, you can see that it fills in the work sessions for the budget report. And that's because of the filter that we use, where the up contains this file name. So this is the file's name. And what this work session block does is it's looking for where this note or this note or this note or any of the other notes in your entire vault has an up property that contains this file name, which is this file name. So what does this look like? If we open up this meeting note, we can see that the up property is pointing to this project Q4 budget report, and that's why it's being returned here. You might ask, why is this important? It's important because it simplifies the entire process. It means that if we go back to Theo and we go to one of his hobbies, it's a cooking hobby. And in his cooking hobby, he has a project Italian cooking. It means that if we go to the edit view and we look at what the sub-projects, work sessions, child notes, and related notes, what it looks like, it looks exactly the same as this, which means it's using exactly the same project base. But the project base is smart. It knows that it's relative to what project it is on. So for the project Italian cooking, it's only returning the work sessions on Italian cooking because the up is filled in and pointing to project Italian cooking. But when we go to Q4 budget report, the work sessions are pointing to the project Q4 budget report. But it's using exactly the same base. And that's why we can use this project template for every single project in our entire system. Now, this is pretty cool to me because it feels like it's simplifying my Obsidian. And if you've been following me for a while, you know that I'm trying to get to the simplest, most effective solution every single time. I want to keep to Occam's razor, the KISS principle, keep it simple, stupid. And this is a core plugin, which means that it won't get outdated because it's part of the core package of Obsidian. And it looks and feels simple. So we spoke about the project template, that whenever we create a project, it just references the project base. And each project Italian cooking, has the same reference to the same base. And base knows to only return projects, work sessions, child notes, related notes that is related to this specific project. Okay, so what does this look like? So if we go to the project base, you can see that we have all of these notes, the ones that we're currently interested in, sub-projects, work sessions, child notes, related notes. So let's start with sub-projects. So what is the filter that we apply? We can see that we have a couple of columns that we want to return. We want to return the file name, the creator date, summary, the file tags. But how does it know how to filter this sub-project when on the project? Well, if we go to filter, it basically has two filters. It's looking where the up of any file in your entire system is pointing to this file.name. So project Italian cooking. And it's looking where the type of that file is project. So for project Italian cooking, we can see that this is a project and it has the type project. So what happens if we create a new project, which is like a sub project of Italian cooking? So let's just call this project Italian pasta. And we use the project template. And this is where we fill in that this project belongs to Italian cooking. So we filled in this to point to project Italian cooking. And here we can see we have project Italian pasta popping up here. And we can then go fill in the summary. So that's how this works. You have a project, type project, and when it points to a specific project, Obsidian knows, or base knows, that this is a sub-project and it needs to be populated here. So let's just delete this and let's close this down. For the work session, okay, so that's sub-projects. For the work sessions, and how to create this, by the way, you just add a view. Or if you created sub-projects and you don't want to start from scratch by creating another view, you can go to the sub-projects, click on this little right arrow, and these little three dots at the top, you can click to duplicate view, and it would duplicate this view, and then you can go edit it. The way that you change the name is, well, this configure view sub projects, you can change the name here. So for work sessions, you create a new view, you add these columns, and the way that you add columns is just by looking at the properties. So these are all the columns that you can add. And then you want to apply a filter. The filter again is it's looking where the up contains this file link. So if we're in Italian cooking, we want work sessions that has an up pointing to project Italian cooking. So if we add another property called up, you can click it. And now when we click on Italian cooking, we can see that, oh, the up is pointing to project Italian cooking. So that's why it's being populated here. So the filter up contains this file name. And then we have two conditions, which is an or condition. It needs to be either a meeting or work session. A meeting is typically a meeting that you're having with somebody else. It is another participant. A work session is basically self-study. It is where you're working just with yourself to move the project forward. So these three conditions make up the work session base view. And that's what we see here. Okay, next, child notes. What is child notes? Child notes are any notes that basically have the up filled in and pointing to this project. You can think of a child note as a note that belongs to this project. So work sessions obviously belong to this project. Pasta sauce fundamentals, it could be a child note because it's part of Project Italian Cooking. So when you're looking for any notes related to Italian cooking, well, you want to know lasagna is a child note of Italian cooking. Pasta sauce fundamentals is a child note of Italian cooking. Related notes, however, is where the related field is pointing to Project Italian Cooking. So related notes might be knife skills, for instance. It's not owned by Italian cooking, but it's useful for Italian cooking. So for child notes, what does this view look like? So we create a new child notes view. We select the columns that we want to appear in the child notes view, and we go to the filter. And this is an easy one. It's just looking for where a file name has an up of this project. So easy one, and related notes is exactly the same, except for we're not looking at the up property, we're looking at the related property. And that's pretty much it. So the final thing that I want to show you is the knowledge base. So we have a template called knowledge base by tag template. And you can ignore the fancy code at the top. What we're interested in is this callout. So when you create a new knowledge base, it's pointing to the project base, knowledge base by tag. So if we go back to, let's just create a new tab, our project base, we can see knowledge base by tag. So what this does is it looks for specific tags in all of your notes and returns them if true. So what does this mean? Well, let's say for Project Italian Cooking, we want a knowledge base of everything that have the tag Italian. So this is when we'll create a new note, and we call this Italian Cooking Knowledge Base. And we use the knowledge base template that we just saw. We can see it pulls through the knowledge base by tag base. And we have nothing yet because we haven't filled in the tag. So let's fill in Italian. So what this does is this base, if you look at the filter, these three tags, what these tags are basically doing is they are going to this tag of this knowledge base note that you created. And it basically looks through your entire system. And it checks every single note. And if that note have the tag Italian in it, it will be returned in this table. So that is how you go from the capturing into your system to actually building a knowledge management system. So this is all of the knowledge notes that you have created throughout your projects related to Italian. So this is pretty cool because you can change this to anything. Let's say we have a finance tag. Here we can see all notes that have the tag finance. So obviously we want to keep it to the name. So this is a base for Italian. And that's pretty much it. There's nothing too difficult about this. These are the main ones that we use: subprojects, work sessions, child notes, related notes, and knowledge base by tag. And I would say this is 99% of how I use project management in Obsidian. So let's have a quick recap. So Theo, he has two types of projects, career and hobbies. So if you go to his career, we can see that we have a project Q4 budget reporting. And these headings all uses the same project base, but just different views. And the views are dynamic for the subprojects, the work sessions, the child notes. And for related notes, it's just looking for the related field. So quite simple. And we use exactly the same thing for his hobbies. So his cooking hobby, he has a project Italian Cooking. And here he has exactly the same setup. Now, after the project Italian Cooking, he might want to add the knowledge note for Italian cooking. But that's where we create the Italian cooking knowledge base with the knowledge base by tag base view. And how this works is you just fill in the tag that you're looking for this specific knowledge base, and it returns all of your knowledge notes. And that's pretty much it for the third installment of the base series. It's a relatively quick video because if you have the project template set up and you have subprojects, work sessions, child notes, and related notes, you then go and create your project base with subprojects, work sessions, child note, related notes, and then you can just start creating any project. And that's 99% of project management in Obsidian.